All right. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good day. Welcome into a Locker Room Sports Talk Extra. On Tuesday nights, that's what we do. We get in here and break it down, talk about some college football coming up for the weekend. Quite a few good games. Not a blockbuster weekend, but you know what they say. Sometimes that means there's going to be some really good games. Uh, I guess probably the biggest game that everybody's going to be talking about is definitely the Tennessee traveling out there, going to play Coach Venables, Oklahoma. And most of you, if you don't know, that Coach Heupel played out there in Oklahoma and was Heisman guy type quarterback, and he was a baller. He's a good player. I remember him playing. I didn't think he was. I thought he was good, but there was a lot of good players during that time. So what do we think about what's going on, Aaron? What's going on, Nico? Yo, rascal. What's going on, Aaron? Yes, Auburn. We'll talk about Auburn, Arkansas. I was actually playing that. You can see behind me there. I was playing it on the Xbox, and I just flipped it over to let the computer finish the game out. I'll probably go back and play it when we get off here. I ain't gonna stay on long. Usually try to do these in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna talk about probably about 3 or 4 games or so, and then probably tell you about some other games that are interesting. Not gonna dig into them very deep, but first, let's talk about a Friday night game that I will not get to see because I will be. I think I'm going to be at Valley Head this weekend. Valley Head Spring Garden, very big region game up there. But the Fighting Illini will be at Nebraska, 7 o'clock Friday night on Fox. Now, here's the thing. Illinois' pass defense, they're not in the top 50. Okay, not real great. It looks good by record because they're both undefeated at the time, 2-0, 3-0. But Nebraska's favored by right now. It showed me 8.5. That's what Nebraska's favored by now. I think that quickly. I think that Ravioli. I know it's Ravioli, but I like calling him Ravioli because it's just fun to say. Dylan Ravioli has got about over 600 yards, nearly 700 yards passing this season already. 6 touchdowns. I don't think he's threw a pick yet. I feel like that they are going to be able to probably do kind of what they want to do. Dowdell, Dowdell, going to run the ball. He's been fairly successful in what they've tried to do as far as scheme wise. Matt Rhule is going to be he's going to be a balanced coach. They're going to throw it in, run it some, and run it up against Illinois' Altmaier, their quarterback. He's not bad at all. And then the Fagan, the running back. I just don't think it's a good matchup. I think that Illinois is going to be in probably over their head, probably early in the game. I wouldn't assume that Illinois will probably ever lead in this Friday night game. But right now they're ranked 24 and Nebraska's at 22. But I think with how Nebraska likes to play ball, I could see them definitely covering on the points there. Also, let's hit this news real quick. I read today that Tennessee, and I'm sure along with some other teams, this is probably going to start happening, guys. So this is news if y'all hadn't read it already. Tennessee is asking for a 10% talent fee to add on their ticket sales. What about that? We knew it was going to happen. We've talked about it. I talked about it last summer. It's somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to have to make up some of this money difference they're having to pay to keep players. Because you can get players there now. If you're a prominent, university, you can usually, get players to come. But now these days, you got to keep them. So keeping these players, 10% hike on the ticket prices. So they're just going to pass the buck along. So, but Nebraska, I think the way Coach Rhule likes to play, I don't see – because here's the thing. Raiola he's fast enough to get out of trouble. He's elusive enough to not get sacked a lot. And I think if Nebraska could, take care of Colorado, y'all seen that game. I'm pretty sure that Altmaier, quarterback at Illinois, is not as good as Shedeur Sanders. I would just nearly bet on that. So with them being able to control that line of scrimmage, I don't see why they shouldn't be able to control Illinois' line of scrimmage. Illinois hadn't played a super great schedule, and I think they're going to run into a big mess. Now, talking about a big mess, Florida Gators, Coach Napier, they're going to go to Mississippi State. Now, this is going to be what do you call it's not a bowl game, but if it was, it'd probably be called the crap bowl. I mean, just honestly. Mississippi State loses last week to Toledo, and there's just not much you could take good from it. They did lose their quarterback. It was 41-17 was the final, and I wanted to see about their quarterback Shaping. 319 yards, 28 for 39, 2 touchdowns, and he only threw a pick. But Toledo winds up with 454 total yards. Mississippi State had 385. That's what I was trying to look at there. What do you expect then? What's the game plan, for both these teams? There's been, numerous talks about replacing Coach Nate, replace Billy. And Coach Levy, I like him. I think he's a good coach. He's got a good background. He's just got a mess. And, once Coach Leach passed away, God rest his soul, the Pirate, it just creates, their team was, they had some pretty good players. They did. But when your coach goes away like that, they're just going to come in and poach other players. So it says Florida's favored by 5. I guess it's on 11 o'clock on ESPN. DJ Lagway wound up coming in, and he threw like 3 picks. And when they played the other day, he's probably your future there at the program. And running back Johnson had over 166. Now, on the year, we said Shaping, he's already at, 834, but he ain't threw a lot of picks. He's only thrown 1. And their tailback, Lee, 88 yards and a touchdown. The style of football that Coach Levy is going to play, I think, gives a good matchup to Florida and them being at Mississippi State and with the Cowbells. But I think Florida, I know it sounds crazy, I think Florida has the better athletes. Just athletically, I think Florida is probably going to be better between the hashes. So I could say Florida probably win this by a touchdown. But, hey, you know what? Shaping's not terrible. But we're going to find out about some of these Florida D-backs and how they're going to react. And with all this drama and all this talk, all the talk about losing their coach, and see halftime 23-0, Auburn up on Arkansas. I don't think that's how that game's going to go. I don't. I think it'll be like a maybe 21-14 at the half. Could be either way. So how Coach Levy plays the ball in Florida Gators, I think Florida's favored, and I can see why. Okay, that's going to be a good game again. 11 o'clock on ESPN. North Carolina State at Clemson. Just brush you up here. 11 o'clock on ABC. McCall, we had a lot of high expectations for him coming in, and Klubnik, he's thrown for over 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, and only 1 pick. So it being at Clemson, they are favored. It says I thought I read this wrong, and I even went back and looked. They're favored by 20. Why? I think I would bet on, if I was a betting man, I think I would take that. I think Clemson will win. 20 is a lot of points to cover. I mean, that's just nearly like they're saying Clemson's just going definitely score probably 2 touchdowns the first quarter, then at least another touchdown off each quarter. So I don't know. That's Clemson's right now kind of on the line. We're getting into that conference play right now with them, and Clemson may be very dangerous right now. Keep an eye on them because they're kind of playing like they don't have nothing to lose because they just kind of don't. I mean, most people are picking Miami. I seen an early bowl projection already out that Miami's picked to win the ACC. Hello, don't forget about Odabo. I know he don't hit the portal like everybody else and whatever, but Clemson wins the game. I can go along with that. But, I think this may be a moment for them to speak out and show what they have and for Cade Klubnik to come out and have a great game. Now, this one here, this could be an interesting game. And I wrote this one down because it's close in score. The spread on this game is only 2.5. Kansas at West Virginia. Now, the games to them and how they came off last week. West Virginia, we talked about a little bit about them Sunday. They come up a little short against Pitt, and wow, what a wild game that was, okay? Their quarterback's not bad. He's pretty good. Watched him interview on Pat McAfee. I think it's a good chance for Kansas to try to stay on track and be relevant in the conference for Kansas. So can West Virginia bounce back? Because does the Mountaineers have it in them to fight those Jayhawks? I think it's going to tell a lot about the team, but it's on at the same time as North Carolina State and Clemson, 11 o'clock ESPN 2. So that may be a game you could flip back and forth to watch on ESPN Plus. I mentioned them because it's Jacksonville State, my alma mater, Fear the Beak. JSU's favored by 6 over Southern Miss. Big game if you want to catch on ESPN Plus. 2 o'clock. Keep rolling on down here. This is another big game that everybody's talking about this weekend, and I'm Michigan is going to host USC. That is a Rose Bowl style matchup game. These teams definitely know each other. The history with the two is high. They all know the programs know each other very well. They're both very esteemed college football programs. But think about this: USC is favored by 5.5. What's up with that? And right now they're 11, and Michigan's 18. Michigan coming off being champs last year, which means nothing about this year. But also, if you didn't know that Ouija or whatever they call him at Michigan, he's going to be a starting quarterback. Warren's not going to start. He threw a bunch of picks the other day, and he's got 3 times more picks than he does touchdowns, guys. Mullins running the ball at Michigan, and we got to keep on Stewart, of course, always. Loveland is their guy at receiver at Michigan, and if he can stay involved in the game, and USC can decide to tackle, I could see why USC's favored in this game. I understand. I think athletically, I think they're a little bit ahead. Kind of like I was saying about Florida, Mississippi State, kind of the same thing, sort of. I can see why one would be favored the other. But playing at the big house, Miller Moss 607 on the year already, 2 touchdowns. Marks running the ball over 170, and then McRee, one of the receivers, and don't forget about the little Branch guy at USC, Zay Branch. He is He's like a cheat code that you used to put in the old Nintendo. Remember when you put in up, down, left, right, A, B, start, or whatever on Tecmo Bowl, and like the player would go invisible, and you could just run down the field and nobody could catch him. He's definitely going to be the difference. I'm kind of up in the air on this one, man. I mean, it's only a 5.5. USC is only favored by just a little over a field goal. I think most people probably assume that USC is favored by 8.5. Vegas. But I think why they dropped it probably 3 is because they're playing at Michigan. Because the game's at the big house. It's at 2:30 CBS, so it's a midday game. It won't get dark till probably near towards the end of the game. So all the game is going to be nice weather. I think all weekend it's going to be 70s up there and stuff, about like around here sort of. I don't know if or Jai. I hate these names, man. Who are these people? Who are these? ORJI. Orgy. He don't throw the ball. I've seen him play some. I've used him on the game some. 37-0. Auburn smoking Arkansas. I don't think Orgy has the arm to stretch the field enough on. Here's the thing. They come out on first down. They're going to probably try to run the ball. I think Michigan's probably going to try to run the ball a lot. Well, what are they going to do on 3rd and 8 when they get a yard and then they get another yard? It's like 2nd and 9, and they get another yard. It's 3rd and 8. In their 3rd and 8 situations, Michigan's terrible on 3rd down conversions. Bad. They're not good at all on 3rd down conversions. So I guess he could take off with the ball and run. But on 3rd and 8 with a running quarterback, that running quarterback for high school stuff may work. But for college stuff, especially playing USC, I mean, no, they're not some defensive juggernaut, but they got athletes. And I don't think Orgy can just keep bending the edge and bending the edge and bending it and try to get around the end, to be gone or something. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think Michigan's going to have a hard time with that. I think them playing there is going to keep them in the game probably for a half. But I would take USC with the points. I think they're going to win by a little more. I just do. I like Miller Moss. We got to see him play. We got to see him play last year in a bowl game. He's really good. He's very accurate with the ball, and he's going to be a smart player. Coach Lincoln, he's the QB guy. Okay, we know. So USC at Michigan this weekend, 2:30. If I'm betting, man, I think I would. I think USC wins by more than 5.5, and I think people are overestimating it being at the big house. They can make it interesting for a while, but the fans going to stay there all day after they see what's going to happen on these. They're going to keep turning the ball over on 3rd down once they punt it some and, go 3 and out, maybe get a first here there, and it's just run, punt, run, punt. I think that puts the Michigan fans in a lackadaisical sense of humor, and it winds up probably becoming a chug fest up in the stands or something, I think people are going to lose interest in the game by kind of later on the game. So I like USC in this one. I think the matchup is just too much for Michigan, and they haven't proven a whole lot to me, yet. And I mean, they lost a lot of players. Here's another one. A 3-point difference in this game. It's also at 11. It's on ESPNU. So while you're watching North Carolina State at Clemson and you're going out to the grill and checking your hamburgers, you can put up the 4-screen thing on YouTube TV, and you could be watching Kansas at West Virginia, and also Tulane at Raging Cajuns at Louisiana. That's just a game I thought I'd mention. Raging Cajuns, they're undefeated right now. And they're a smaller team. I like keeping an eye on them. I like Eastern Carolina. I like watching Eastern Carolina. There's just some teams I'll pick that just kind of smaller, less than teams, but I like how they play ball. I just think it'd be a good game to keep your eye on. So you could flip that on ESPNU between North Carolina State and Kansas and stuff. Tulane at Louisiana. Now, here's the last two highlight games. We're going to talk about this one, but right now, Tennessee, Coach Heupel. Tennessee is just offensively, they're clicking along with what they want to do. Nico fits exactly to what Coach Heupel loves and how he likes to play football. I mean, they're averaging about 50 points a game. Their accredited win will be North Carolina State, which has kind of proven of late that it's not really a great win. I don't know. I overestimated North Carolina. A lot of people did. And I'm one of them. I'll admit, hey, I'll pump a team up in the summer and say, hey, man, watch this team. Then they go on up playing. They're just, very mid. But Tennessee's favored by a touchdown. They're going to Oklahoma, number 15. Tennessee's number 6 right now. And they pay $6.30. So it's going to be your later game of the day once you've been stuffed full of ribs and you eat all your pizza rolls and drink a gallon of tea. $6.30, ABC is going to be the game to watch. Now, Nico's already at 173. Bishop, 120 yards running here. But now Jackson Arnold, he's about the same. About 170, a touchdown and a pick. Now, been rushing the ball, 97 yards. And then Burks, everybody knows about Deion Burks, the receiver at Oklahoma, big time player, 80 yards with him. But Jackson run the ball. I mean, 170 and then nearly 100 yards rushing last week. And I watched some of that game, played Tulane, and they throw the Tulane player out for diving over Jackson Arnold. He's sliding. Man, come on. These calls are just bad. Some of these, I don't know what the refs are. They got replay. Man, they got all these cameras. I can understand guys around here at high school blowing it or something, but with all this money that we have, and we've spent crazy amounts of money for all these cameras and stuff, and this is the best you can do. A kid dives over from Tulane, over Arnold as he gives himself up. He didn't light him up. He could have stuck his head down and just plowed him. He jumps over him to miss him, and his arm is down as he's jumping over like this, and his forearm here brushes, didn't even hardly hit, because I think Jackson kind of moved his head down as he felt the pressure of him coming. They throw the guy out of the game. I seen another kid get pulled. Was it Arizona State game? He gets pulled from this jersey, gets pulled from the side. The quarterback does, and they pull him down the ground. They throw him out. Another kid gets hit in the butt. He's trying to jump, and he gets hit in the butt. He's targeting. We've got to stop throwing these kids out. So if the refs will leave this game alone, it's going to be in Oklahoma. I don't think that I think Oklahoma can probably get their points, but they ain't played a defense. I don't think this Perkins kid, man. Pierce, was it Pierce Jr.? Tennessee. He's good. We bragged about him, Pierce Jr. Yeah, during the summer a lot. He's a baller, man. He's a good football player. I think Oklahoma's going to have trouble up front. We already know about their offensive line stuff. I talked about it in the summer. I did a spot on Oklahoma. And, their fans made sure to come on and let me know which name I didn't pronounce right. And I said that their offensive line coach was, coaching with the new line, and I got accused of saying that they got a new coach. That's not what I said. So their fans are hot wired and tasty and nasty, and that's fine. That's what fanatic is short. Fan is short for that. I get it. But Nico can keep these plays alive long enough to where he can move in the pocket. He is skinny, but he's not a little guy. I think he can create enough movement to keep plays open long enough that Squirrel White and them, and they're receivers, man. I think that gives them an opportunity, Nico does, for them being able to stay in that deep backfield a little bit longer. Just that's something that takes just 1 second, man. I mean, just a shuffle right for him to get out of pressure, let a receiver just to break past a defender and him throw the ball and put it on the money. I would probably take the points too on this one, Tennessee. I'm not saying Oklahoma's trash. I'm not saying that at all. I just don't think they're there right now. I don't think they're just right up and ready to play this higher powered kind of offense. I just don't think they're ready yet. I just don't think Oklahoma is there. I don't think they have the guys or the lineup to be able to compete all day to score enough. And I like Jackson Arnold. The guys, I bragged on him back in the summer. He's a 4 or 5 star kid, right over there around Katy, Texas area, 6A high school, Texas, big time, cowboy hat and big belt buckle, quarterback out of Texas. And he does have somebody to throw the ball to. But I just think the type of pressure that they're going to see from Tennessee up front on their defense, I don't know if Oklahoma can handle it all day. Does that make sense? So I think Tennessee covers here. And welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 other games. I'm just going to mention, tell about times and interesting, I guess. I don't guess California's going to play at home. I don't blame them. Nobody wants to really go out there anyway. I mean, it's a trash old state out there. It's a freaking mess. They're going to be at Florida State. Florida State's favored by 2. Now, this is a team that beat Auburn the week before. This game's going to be at 6 o'clock. So if you want to get ready for the Tennessee-Oklahoma game, go over ESPN2. You can watch Cal at Florida State. Hey, if you're interested in some speedy players running all over the place, hey, South Florida at 6 also. You can look on ESPN. Miami, the U, is 16.5-point favorite over South Florida. I think that'll be interesting, and I think that this will be a week to continue to see Cam improve his passing game, and we'll see how good Miami's offensive line calls. It's about matchups, and their linemen may match up differently with the South Florida defensive line than Alabama's did, because people say, they just blow Alabama up off the line. No, it's just really just one side. And no, he didn't blow anybody up. He just run right by him. South Florida's got speed. They got the guys to go down there and just blister people and run by them. He couldn't just buck up on these guys and just boy dog them and run them over. That didn't happen. But to get past them and do a little shake and bake and a swim over, boom, hit up the gap there. Sorry. I ain't going to get rid of this. I don't know. I've just been sick for a week. It's better, but it's just still my throat. My sinus is dripping. I had to went off camera, so I'm doing blowing my nose. I'm sorry. So I like that game. South Florida will be hosting Miami. A lot of talent around there. That'd probably be a cool game to be at. And I like to see what kind of recruits they have there. I love the high school recruiting process of these super athletes going to these games and, get to know, some of those guys and where they're from, and see what the high schools they play at, like St. Quantas or Shamadabadana down there, the big, like they're ranked like in the nation, these big high schools in Florida. So that'd be an interesting game. TCU favored by 2.5. They're going to be at SMU. I think that's a good Texas game. Okay, it's going to be on the C-Dub network at 4 o'clock. So in between running in and out or something, if you're cooking and stuff, if you're getting in from work, lunchtime or so, and you get in and kind of get eaten and washed up, 4 o'clock, turn over on CW. You can watch the TCU Horned Frogs at SMU. Just a good – it's kind of like Miami at Southern Florida. probably be a lot of local people there. A lot of the high schools in that area probably have a lot of kids visiting for this weekend because this is kind of a break week for some. And a few teams are playing conference games, but next week will be a lot of conference games. Utah, number 12 right now, they're favored by 2. And I wrote this one down again. You can see what I'm kind of getting at. Besides Miami, I wrote it down. They're favored. But the teams that are favored by 2 points here, Florida State favored by 2, TCU, Utah only favored by 2. They're going to go to Oklahoma State. And this game is going to be on at 3 o'clock on Fox. Number 14, Okie State against number 12, Utah. This is a big game, big conference game. Now, I hadn't even seen is Cam playing? Y'all tell me. Let's see, because I had read Sunday that he was hurt. Cam Rising injury updates. What do we know? From 9 hours ago, Utah expected to play against Oklahoma State. Bam, there you go. Okay, so he's expected to play, so they're favored by 2. I would take that. With him playing, I don't know if Oklahoma State defensively, they're bad to get guys. I seen them on one time. I watched them play. Was it last week or the week before? Maybe in that game one they played. Yeah, they had guys on the wrong side, their defense, their corners. They're trying to walk a guy down to help corner like a trips or something. And even after he walked down, he still missed it. The receiver just kind of, run in and out and just kind of run by him and got over behind him. And I've seen it happen a couple of times. And Utah's not the team that you want to kind of you don't want to get confused with them. They're not the ones. It being that Okie State Cowboys, they're going to be in there shooting them up gangster style. They're favored by 2. I could probably take that. I could see Utah, beating them by a touchdown. Jeff, what's going on here? Let's see. Okie State and Denton. Yeah, I know. And Taylor Green had a day. I think it may have been that game I was watching when they were trying to get down to cover some of the guys at Arkansas, and they were just on the wrong side. I mean, like they would have, they're like in a cover 2, and then they wanted to switch and maybe do like a cover 1, and their safety come down. And I don't know. It just kind of looked like they didn't know all the time where they were going. And Taylor Green, Arkansas, made them pay for it, and we're fixing to talk about them. So yeah, you're right, Joe. And yeah, I think Florida State's favored by 2, but can Cal go to Florida State? I guess they can. I mean, if they can go into Auburn and win, why can't go to Florida State where there may not be a lot of people there, guys, because their fan base is just not happy. I don't like Coach Norvell. I personally, not as a person, I don't know him as a human. Maybe a great God-fearing man, and I hope that he is and all, but I don't care for him as a coach. I don't care for his style of mentoring young men to become men. And it seems like he is shoulder shrug. It seems this way. I'm just saying, Florida State fans, don't bury me because y'all are some nasty ones. Woo, boy, they get crazy. Like they're supposed to go to the playoff or something. Dude, I mean, your conference game and how you played against Louisville, it looked like crap. You didn't go there and dominate the game and beat a number 1 team that had been number 1 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Alabama doing that, put them in that position. I mean, Louisville. So I don't want to hear nothing from that. I done went through that last year. I guess I didn't catch a lot of crap about it because I kind of just said how I felt about it, and people messaged and I just didn't respond because it just is what it is. And if you did that with your backup quarterback, what do you think is going to happen if you play Georgia? What did you think was going to happen? You played your guts out against Louisville, and it didn't. I mean, it was a terrible game. Anyway, the morale at Florida State, Cal they may do it, man. I mean, that quarterback, who knows? I mean, that guy come here and lit the barn on fire, and literally, and smoked them out of there. I mean, the War Eagle was coming out of there choking and coughing. Yeah, they may be able to do it. Talking about Auburn, this last game in 36 minutes. Love it. Right on time. We'll give us about 5-minute talk. Arkansas is favored by 3. The game is at 2:30. It's on ESPN. Auburn's favored by. Why did it say Arkansas? I know I've read different. Let's see. Favored for Auburn versus Arkansas. His predictions here. See, I'm pretty sure I read that the point spread. Guys, y'all tell me what y'all read too, because for some reason I wrote it down as Arkansas favored by 3, and I don't think that's right. Arkansas is coming off a 37-27 win against UAB. They are okay. Auburn is a 3-point. Yes, I'm right. Auburn's a 3-point favorite. I knew. I just wrote that down wrong. So Arkansas is plus 3. Well, it seems one. Auburn got a win last week. Hank Brown come in and throwed for, 200, 250 yards, had 3 or 4 touchdowns. Quiz got to run the ball, went for about 100.5. Lambert, 60, 70 yards receiving. They looked like a good, normal, pick it up, turn on the TV Saturday. Auburn looked like a good, normal football team. They come in, penalties and that kind of stuff kind of took care of the business. Didn't have no kind of Tracy turnover stuff. Took care of business on defense. I know. They played New Mexico High School. I know. But from where they're at, not just mentally, but physically as a program, it's a bad spot. Gus, I've said this 1,000 times. I got to stop saying it. Y'all already know. Gus didn't recruit any last year or two. He didn't give it. He's never developed nothing. He couldn't even develop a napkin to fold itself up to get in, be wrapped up in a fork and a spoon. It's terrible. He's just a play caller. That's why he needs a big staff to develop his players, because Gus Malzahn ain't developing nobody. He did not develop Cam Newton. Now, the water is out for me on Hugh Freeze. I don't think he's a great developer of players. I think he's gotten good players and helped them to become part of his system and be successful to win against some games when they need wins. And from Bo Wallace to, Liberty and Malik and them. So Arkansas, now nobody, me included, man, we wouldn't have this. Who was burning up on just tearing down the woods and burning trails with, the British are coming, Tethyn Green's coming. Who was doing that? Nobody. I didn't have anybody talking about Arkansas this summer. We had Coach Pittman like 2 years ago. It was like Coach of the Year. He's just the old guy. He's got a cool little basement. The twin doors open up out in the yard, and you go out there and you play horseshoes, and you come in. He's got the dartboard and the big TV, and he's got his own draft beer, and he just sat there and shoot the breeze with a guy. I mean, seemed like a great guy. And that's all we could really give him credit for through the whole summer. Arkansas just wasn't going to be very good. Well, this Armstrong guy shows up. Jackson here running the ball. They're playing pretty good on defense. I mean, they're running around making tackles. Well, who knew? Petrino, is he the answer? Did him being run off and coming back, is it blinded by the light now that we just couldn't see it? So would I take Auburn in this game in the points? Well, if Auburn wins, they have to kick a field goal, and that would tie on the points. So I guess what they'd come to a push, and you'd have to pick or how, they'd have to. Let's just say, can Auburn even beat Arkansas? It don't seem like it. And if you're just going to bet on Auburn like we usually do, and they usually do what they usually do, they'll blow it. They got the wrong guy back there catching a punt. They give up a big play on like a 3rd and 16. Green gets loose around the other side, and he takes off, gets the first down with 2 minutes left. Arkansas is up 5, and they get a first down, with 1:10 left, and like wind up bleeding the clock to keep them in the game. Just run the clock out, win by 5. 36-31. I'm just making up a scenario in my mind of what this is, just kind of what we've expected out of Auburn for years. They hadn't beat a ranked team in so long. I don't even know. They're going to have all these commitments come in this weekend. I don't know how they're getting them to stay. They've got to be spending crazy money to even get these guys to come, because I don't know what you sell them. The program's in bad shape. You can go to the league. You watch an NFL game, you can see how many, players, just type it in. But now on the positive side, I think Hank being in the huddle has built some confidence with the team. Obviously through the week, Coach Freeze felt like that Thorne wasn't the best quarterback at practice. Now, that bothered me. When he said he's the best quarterback at practice, I'm thinking, man, when he hits the field, he makes bad decisions with the ball. And here's something too. You guys that played football, there's a lot of guys that showed up at practice and were good practice players, but come Friday night or Saturday, they just couldn't do it. They couldn't replay what they did, Tuesday on pad day. They couldn't do it on Friday during the game. But with Hank, I guess, I don't know. Here's a good question, Auburn people. I hadn't even looked this up. Cam Coleman, is hold on, 51-50. Auburn over Arkansas in the game. If that happens, bro, I bet more than half the Auburn fans would shave their butt and stand out in the middle of the courthouse if they beat Arkansas 51-50. Because the positive side of this, he's had a good week at practice. I think Hank has won over the crowd. He's definitely won the crowd over. I think Hank maybe has won over the team somewhat. And they're ready to go win a game. Now, this would be a big win for Auburn. It would be a big win for Auburn. Let's see here, Auburn versus Arkansas. Okay. In the past, Auburn has had the upper hand in the rivalry between the two teams. Their first clash debuted in 1984. The Tigers hold the advantage with their record 20-12 against Arkansas, shining through. They have also won 9 of the last 11 of the Razorbacks, including a 48-10 victory last season. So they'll get a repeat score from last year. Man, Auburn ain't the same team. They beat Cal and they beat them this year. They'll have to stay on their game. And I'm not even going to say the normal stuff. Well, if they don't turn the ball over and they don't get no penalties, anybody can win the game, Matt, if they do that. So I'm not going to give you coach talk. Take care of the ball. And I'm curious to see how Coach Derrick handles this Auburn defense for how to line up. Is it going to be like 3 on the line and 3 in the box and 2 behind him, where they can try to shoot gaps on these guys? Because Arkansas, they're going to try to run the ball some, and their quarterback is dangerous. Or do you play 4 down in the box and just play 1 over top and, linebacker, and let your other 2 play down, standing up and try to stretch the field and keep an eye on him. And just, do you have a spy? I mean, I'm asking y'all. You're all us armchair quarterbacks. Do you just spy Green all day? Yeah. I mean, I would say probably at first, because if I'm Arkansas, we're going to come out and first play of the game, I'm going to throw the ball. I'm just telling you, I know. Everybody just know you run the ball, set the tempo of the game. I'm going to throw the ball on a tall slant. I mean, like a 10-yard stop and go, and try to catch them off guard and get them, get their heads turned upside down. And then the next play, I'm running a quarterback draw. I'm just telling you what I would do. I don't know, man. I want to pick Auburn to win the game. And I think with Hank now, I think they're in a positive mental situation now. The players are riding along with their boy. So, and in Arkansas's, defense, I think Oklahoma State, in these games, and we see these other teams play each other, and it's like bad medicine, It's like Bon Jovi said, you give love a bad name. It's bad medicine. Like North Carolina State, too, we were so up on them. They come out and just stink roll. I mean, they just couldn't hardly get nothing together. Maybe some of us picked them to win the conference. At them or Miami, So I guess we're going to find out Saturday at 2:30 how good Arkansas is, how good Paterno is. It's always about adjustments. And if you guys that really watch football and really know the game, it's always about adjustments. So how Coach Durkin to Coach Petrino, these opposites, and who's going to be playing chess and who's going to be playing checkers Saturday. Because I think these staffs are they're pretty equally matched. Okay? So special teams. That may be the difference in the Auburn-Arkansas game. So being at Auburn, I'll go with the home team. I think Auburn could probably take care of them. But, I'll say in sissy boy, soy boy fashion, like I'm not being just man enough and just owning my pick and nailing it on the wall. If Arkansas won, I just wouldn't be like, holy crap, I just can't believe it. I can't believe Arkansas didn't win this game, I can't believe Arkansas won. I can't believe Auburn blew it. Because Auburn's always got those moments. They blow it sometimes. All right. Come back Thursday night. We'll do some high school. I'm going to start looking into some games for the weekend. Around here, Galesville's on the Idle Monster. Sandrock hosts Pleasant Valley. Big region game. Homecoming over there. Cedar Bluff hosts Section, another region game. Cherokee County's at White Plains, region game. And Spring Garden at a big region game at Valley Head. And closely by in surrounding counties, Piedmont will be at the Fighting Steve Smiths down at Westbrook. And the Fighting Willinghams over at Collinsville and Teddy and Bunch, they will be at Asbury. So we'll talk about some of those games, some other games too. Anderson's got some big games coming up. Hoax Bluff, we'll talk about them. Gadsden City, Fort Payne, what they got going over there. We'll talk about them too tomorrow. Let's see, what are we doing here? Jeff, enjoy your evening there, sir. Yeah, I know. Petrino may be the difference maker. All right, y'all have a great evening. That's long enough. See y'all.